The history of Loretto has a long and interesting backstory. It all started with James McGuire, who was a Catholic from Maryland that purchased 12,000 acres of Commonwealth near the headwaters of Clearfield Creek, which would later be called Cambria County. When he died in 1793, he left his land to John Carroll, the first bishop in the United States. Demetrius Golitsyn was a Russian prince who felt a calling from God and eventually settled on the McGuire settlement, where he erected a log cabin church. This settlement was called Loretto, after Loretto in Italy. Using his wealth and status, he attracted over 4,000 people to this settlement. The Catholic Church grew much more over the next hundreds of years in Pennsylvania. The Basilica of St. Michael the Archangel stands close to where Prince Golitsyn had earlier built his log cabin church. It was raised by Charles Schwab in 1907. Charles Schwab, known as the president of U.S. Steel, was raised in Loretto and helped funded many other projects in the town. The architect for this building was Frederick J. Osterling. The cost of raising this church would be about $4 million. Carnegie funded the church as well, giving them an organ. The basilica sits around 1,000 worshippers and was renovated many times over the years. In 2007, Pope John Paul II recognized Prince Golitsyn in the nomination for sainthood. Charles Schwab was a graduate of St. Francis University in Loretto. He built a 44-room summer home in 1919 on the hilltop of Loretto. This estate is now called Mount Assisi Monastery. Below this estate were the gardens he built, called the Ermagren Estate Gardens. These gardens are open from dusk till dawn and allow people to visit. These gardens are stunning, featuring many fountains and shrines to saints. They were originally Greek god statues before they were replaced by statues of saints. Schwab used to have 70 people on staff in his summer estate before the stock market crashed in 1929. The second chapel house was built in the 1800s. There are many things to see inside this historic church, such as personal belongings from Prince Golitsyn, things such as handwritten notes, his confession chair, signs he made, and his violin. You can occasionally still attend Mass here. I interviewed my sister Nicole about Loretto and how it was like growing up there. She responded that it was a normal experience. It's a calm rural town with not much to do, but it still holds a place in my heart, because I grew up here. I went to St. Michael's and got a good education there. Everyone in this town seems very faithful, and which could relate back to its roots. It's a small town, and everybody really knows each other. I asked her, "What would you say your favorite thing to do in Loretto is?" She replied, "My favorite thing to do is go to the gardens and observe the beauty and nature there. There are many wonderful things to see around these gardens, and it's just a really beautiful experience. There's not much else to do in Loretto, but the things that it does have are great." I asked her, "Do you know any important figures in the history of Loretto?" She replied, "I once read a book about Demetrius Golitsyn in 8th grade. It gave me many details about the history of Loretto and more information on his life. He seems very important in Loretto history." The final question I asked was, "Do you believe that Demetrius Golitsyn should become a saint?" She said, "Yes, because he did so many things for the small town of Loretto and was gifted with different healing abilities. He was an advocate for faith and spread it around the area. He should absolutely become a saint." In May 1848, an invitation was sent to Reverend Hugh Gallagher, and the Sisters of Mercies were sent to Loretto from Pittsburgh. The place they stayed was named St. Aloysius Academy, and it was established in Loretto. In 1897, the original building became a children's home, which later burnt down in 1904. All the residents were safely rescued. In 1907, another site was constructed behind the burnt-down children's home. This place was called Our Lady of Loretto Convent, which later closed in 2003. In 1947, 6 friars from Ireland came to Loretto. Brother Giles Carroll and his 5 brothers cleared the forests of Loretto and built a school that would one day be St. Francis. The school opened in 1893, and the Sisters of St. Joseph were placed in charge of it. The school continued to grow and expand throughout the years. In 1957, a whole remodel was done, adding new classrooms, a kitchen, and etc. The school is built on Catholic values and will continue to grow and expand with the community and love of God. Loretto is known for its strong belief in God. It's where a lot of the church was grounded in Pennsylvania. Loretto was a foundation for Catholicity in the area where it was considered the backwoods. Love for God and the Catholic faith still thrives in this small town and will continue to thrive in Loretto for many more years.